All right, here we go. It's thrills. Welcome, welcome. All right. Okay. So in our training package, we have this one, and then we are doing the taper before anybody starts tapering, or as you guys start tapering, and then a race day one, just kind of the protocols to what else we're going on. But today, being the um fueling. So today is on fuel. So first off, thinking about your longest run that you had last week, tell me what you ate before your run.
I did eggs and it was either toast or half a bagel
Oh,
and then
good.
coffee because
Because,
coffee.
of course, yes, yes.
Yeah.
What else? Come on. I know you guys ran. Admit it.
Pretty sure I had a peanut butter sandwich.
Oh,
I
good.
ate a lot of those.
Yeah, those are awesome before. That's good. Good. The rest of you being shy. You know this is interactive. Come on.
If I run in the morning, I don't usually eat anything before, which is probably not good.
Yes, let's talk about that. Good, good. This is the truth, though. It's awesome. Um, Lily, are you going to share anything? Or are you in a spot where you're just going to not talk?
I don't know. I feel like I don't eat anything. Like I wake up and then run and then I do my electrolytes and then get ready for work and go to work.
Okay. Okay. That's your routine. All right. Well, we're hopefully going to give you some more tools to help with that today. So, hopefully, the biggest thing, for fueling our run is the carbohydrates and is what happens in between, or it's why that's important. Like my little thing here, you eat carbs, your stomach breaks it down into glucose, and then that's stored in your liver and your muscles as glycogen. And then that's what's used to fuel your muscles during the run. So that's why you guys who choose not to eat before you run. And I know it's hard. I've done it for years because I only run early in the morning. Um, and it is hard to like get up and eat something, but there is more and more research, especially for women, which we only have women on here, so this is going to be easier to talk to, um, on working out on an empty stomach. Um, so this cycle, like this says, it's stored in your muscles and your liver, but you use it up and then throughout your healing while you're sleeping, then it just drops down low. So it's even more important to make sure that you have some of it during or oh, this is all during. That's a bad picture. I should change that. Before your run, as well as during and after, and that's what we're going to cover all of it today. So first, before you run, okay? So before you do want a pre-snack, and we're going to talk about before like a normal run, and because you have your normal runs that are like short, right? During the week. And then we have our long runs, usually on the weekends. And then we have and then you have race day. So those are all like kind of different components that go in with each of those, right? So before you run on a normal day, I do want you to try to start eating something and aiming for it. So this little quote here is to do it a couple hours before. You already run in the morning, you're going to not eat a lot before, which is okay. On race day, let's kind of make an exception. And even on like the longer run days, we're going to try to get in more carbs. But on your normal run day, aiming for like 20 grams of carbs before your run. So when you wake up, uh, Lily said, no, you said you have yours after, right? Your like sodium drink. Um, because some sodium drinks have carbs in it, so that counts. But here's some ideas. So this is from I just joined with a local nutritionist, and her name was Dana, so of course she was cool. And we did a little workshop on overtraining or under eating. So I kind of stole these slides from her. Okay. But and I honestly, before that day, this was like 2 weeks ago or something, I had never thought about graham crackers. And so since this I personally started doing graham crackers in the morning because they're really easy to eat. And I can kind of hack a lot of stuff. So I like yogurt. I like Greek yogurt or my kids not Greek yogurt before, and it was easy just to kind of scoop some of those in before I go. But now I scoop it with a graham cracker, so then I get like some extra carbs. So that's kind of been like my go-to before runs lately. And then if it is a longer run, then I do like toast and honey or jam or something like that is also easy for me to eat and to make quick and stuff like that. So I like those ideas. But here's some other ideas that are listed here, right? I honestly like, who's going to spend the time before you run to like make something like this, is my opinion. But this is really easy, something that's easy and doable. So, but that's before like a shorter run. On the longer runs, you're going to need more. And then on race day, you're going to need even more. Okay. So I know you guys are all running different races. Okay. That are going to, that start at different times and all this stuff. But so my last slide is going to be your homework. But right now, we're going to kind of talk about it as in, just because I had the stats for the St. George Marathon and I guess actually only Tycee's doing that and she's not actually even on here. But so but a lot of races are similar. Okay. So the race starts at 7 a.m, but you have to catch the bus at 4 to 5 a.m, which actually works out just, the bus loads from 3:30 to 5 a.m. Okay. So if it starts at 7, do the math. If you go back like 2 to 3 hours, then you're eating in between 4 and 5, which then actually makes it pretty awesome for race day because you're already awake before then because you are catching the bus at that time. Because I've had connections with the race director and stuff in the years past, I've brought like, and my stomach can hack stuff. I brought a whole box of probably Life cereal and a bowl and milk. And she brought it back down for me. I've even like pumped when I was nursing my baby at the start line, and she brought my pump back down for me and stuff like that, because you're up there forever before the marathon starts. You guys who aren't in St. George, the St. George Marathon is like it's just a down a canyon, let's say. And so they bus you up there, but we don't have that many buses, so it takes a long time. And then you just have your drop bag. So I'm not going to drop my nursing pump in a drop bag, but so on race day, some of this stuff is easier, but you don't want to try something new on race day. That's when you're also going to have a lot of issues. So even when you're doing like shorter runs right now, I want you to practice this fueling. Even like, I'm not saying you have to get up 2 hours earlier, but you guys who don't run in the morning, you run in the evening or something like that. These are some ideas of what to eat. Like if you ate all of this, and it does seem like a lot of food, but you're going to be burning a lot. Like you need it stored in the glycogen stored in you. So having a bagel with honey, so that's 50 grams. So on a normal run, like awesome, like have that one day. If you can't hack that, at least have a banana and then have some oatmeal and see how it settles. And then like on race day, you're going to have all of this before, because you're having it hours before the race, right? But just practice a chunk of it in small increments before then. Does that make sense? Or like on this week's long run, combine 2 of them so that it doesn't feel so overwhelming, but you can still consume it, because this is 137 grams of carbs, which is freaking spot on. Awesome. But that's what you'd want before your run, is a lot of those. Does that make sense? And you guys see the difference in between like your short run, your weekly runs versus your like long runs. Am I making sense? Everybody went on black. Okay. Unmute and talk whatever you want, because I don't have the chat open, so I hope you're not chatting. Okay. But now we're moving on to during the run. So you guys unmute and tell me what you ate during your last long run. If you're up to long runs. Some of you might not be up to 2 longer runs yet.
I tried to eat like half of a shot block, but it was really hard to chew while I was running. So I might try like a goo next time. Because I do that.
Okay.
I do like really long bike rides, and I'll do goos then.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard to eat stuff while you run.
Chewing. Yeah. When I was had experience with the shot blocks. I used to love them back in the day. I'd cut them in half and then stick them in their own little Ziploc because I liked them, but they were too big to like chew. So that's an idea if you really like shot blocks, cut them in half before you run. But
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
one.
yeah. Sarah.
I do like individual honey packets or like gummy bears.
Good.
Or fruit leather. Like I can't do the goos and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll even like put a little bit of salt on my gummy bears in a bag
Oh,
and use
awesome.
those.
That's a good idea. Like shake salt on the gummy bears in the
I
bag.
do. And yeah,
Nice.
if you put them in your pocket, it sticks to them by the
Oh,
time you get them out.
I always
They're
like
sweaty and disgusting.
yeah, exactly. I always think so. I'm like, it's all gross, but like you in the
Yeah,
moment you don't
fine.
care. But like thinking back, you're like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, that was nasty or whatever. But
Mhm. Yeah, it's fine.
yeah, that's awesome. Tori, what are you gonna have during your run? Or what did you have last week? Because you have a 40
I
miler.
just can't really tell if you're just
I did a the fruit leathers. I've done those, like the fruit leathers, but like Oddburn was saying, it's really hard to chew those.
Yeah.
So then I did nerd clusters
Okay.
last week.
Yes, nerd clusters are super popular.
Yeah,
Yes,
they
yes.
were really tasty.
Yeah, awesome. Lily.
I don't know.
Okay, okay, we're glad you're here. We're learning then, right?
Okay.
I would say as far nerd clusters, I feel like are the popular thing, and I was gonna say the before popular thing, if you want to like jump on that bandwagon, is oh crap, why am I forgetting what they're called? You put them in the toaster. What are those called? Like toaster
Toaster
strudels.
strudels.
No, yeah, but
Pop-Tarts.
Pop-Tarts. Hello, why could I not think of that? Yeah, Pop-Tarts. Because I guess I don't know. I can't hack Pop-Tarts. I feel like they're made way too much out of plastic. But a lot of runners love them and they have a ton of carbs in them. And like easy for like traveling. Like if you have a race out of town, it's an easy thing to eat a couple hours before. Anyways. Okay, back to during. So the biggest thing you guys all, well, for the most part, Lily, we still love you. Dropped up some things that you're eating. So your homework is going to be to look at those and see how many actual carbs are in them. Okay. So even when you're doing with your guys' goals of a half marathon or plus, then I want you to even like technically on a shorter run, less than 60 minutes, you don't really need anything. But I want you to practice because some of you already said, like your gut can't handle some stuff. So even if you don't need it, then let's think about like practicing for your gut to get used to it. And you don't have to do every run during the week, but at least like one or two of them or something like that. One of them, try eating something during the run just to see how your gut feels. And then definitely on your long runs. Like that's the most, I mean, there's so much going on with your long runs to prepare you for race day, but big one is finding the fuel that works for you. Okay. So less than an hour, aim for 30 grams. And then longer is 30 to 60 that you get in an hour. So if you're really going 2 hours, then of course you're being like to 60 to 120-ish. Okay. I have, and this is totally like a personal thing. The ultra runner professional that I work with. So professional, that's a whole different level. Yes. But he can consume 120 grams. Dude, I just forgot the stats. Anyways, he can consume an amazing amount of carbs, but he's also trained his body to do that. And he's a guy, and there's like all of these things. His wife is also a really good like ultra runner, and she can only do like half of what he does. So it's really like personal, and 30 to 60 is a big range, but it's really like 30 to 90 is like it's a big range. So trying to like experiment with how your body can handle it. So first, like look at the stuff that you have and see what you have, how much is in your stuff. Okay. So nerd clusters are super popular and they have 48 grams. But in this package, that's almost, it says about 3 servings. So times 3, if you ate the whole package, you know, because you also have to think about how you're going to carry this stuff. And it sounds like a lot of you guys are doing more with like real food or whatever, real food, not calling nerds real food, but you know what I mean. um versus these, like the e-gels are hitting my community a lot more than they have in the past, and I'm loving them. They're sweet, so some of my runners don't like them, but 37 grams of carbs, so I'm like, sweet, you don't have to pack as many. Like these ones that have 21, you have to pack like 3 of them. Like it's to me, that's harder as far as like where I'm putting it on my body during the run. And the springs, there's like a mist. So that one's a little bit higher. That one's that company overall got in trouble a couple years ago for misleading. They used to say they had a lot more carbs in them than they actually do. So these are taste good. They're real like food. The humas are made out of chia seeds. So some people, I like texture. Some of my runners like can't hack that. I mean, there's just so many different things, and then it's the sports beans, but then you're like chewing them, but just giving you some ideas of they're all different. So that's why I'm saying all of you guys just name dropped one of the things that you like the best. So your first homework is to see how many grams are in it, or grams of carbs are in it, and making sure we want like the 20 or 30 to 60 an hour. Okay. So kind of shoot for that and see and experiment with it. So here's like another, so this is from the other Dana's idea. Some people really can't hack anything, but they do say that if you at least put it, and this is kind of more ultras, hopefully you guys can figure it out with half marathoners, but being able to like put it in your mouth, swoosh it around your mouth, and then spit it out, because some of the carbs still get in you. So it's better than nothing. And then it just progresses like some other ideas. Yeah, fruit snacks are popular. I'm always, when I work with any parents, I'm always like, it's just the snacks that you feed your kids. If you're a normal parent, some of these other parents don't feed their kids fruit snacks, but any food snack, the goldfish. Actually, I have my favorite right here. Do you guys have a Trader Joe's? I freaking love these. Dried fruit is another one I should have put on my slide, and this has, for 6 pieces, it has 33 grams of carbs. So I could down 6 of those before I went running. Pretty easy. Like, that's easy. So just kind of be aware, and then think about like what you can have before, what you can hack chewing, whatever it is during. So when I schedule your guys' workouts to have when some of you guys are doing walk run intervals, then that's an easy spot to like take it in. But you also have to think about race day. On race day, they're going to have aid stations. I think I'm going to talk about that in a second, maybe not yet, but they'll have aid stations every once in a while. And if your game plan is to never run through the aid station, we'll kind of talk about this more on our taper day and race day. But hopefully you're going to walk through some of those stations. So don't feel bad during your training runs right now to like walk and eat it, instead of feel like you can't stop. You know what I mean? But a lot of new runners have different opinions of that. Like some feel like if they stop, they can't get going. And there's all this mental stuff with running. So do what you can do, Okay. Now moving to after. What did you guys eat after your last long run?
Eggs and toast.
Okay.
And sometimes ham.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome.
I had like a liquid IV electrolyte drink, and yeah, eggs and toast and some fruit.
Oh, sweet. Good.
Probably chocolate milk and my kids' leftover dinner.
Nice. Nice. I thought for sure you were going to say eggs with your little farm you have going on. But...
Oh, no. Well, because I usually run in the evenings, actually. It's the only time I have to run. So
that it's leftover dinner. Okay. Chocolate milk, though. That's awesome. That's awesome. Tori, what'd you eat?
I usually do the protein shake with milk.
Okay.
And then so sometimes I run in the evening, sometimes I run in the morning. So it really depends on when I got my run in.
Yeah.
So a bagel, like half a bagel with peanut butter, or like an apple with peanut butter and Greek yogurt.
Okay,
Those
good.
are some of my favorite little
Yeah.
go-tos. I don't count what grams of like carbs they are. It's just those are snacks I like to eat kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah. Well, the big thing is that you guys, I'm going to talk about carbs here, but I'm also going to talk about protein. And all of you guys had, like, everything that you said had both some carbs and some protein. And honestly, my last guy who just left here, he did 10 mile, well, 9.5 miles this weekend. And then he said he was dead. He was wrecked and stuff like that. He did do it on the course, which means it's downhill and stuff. But I asked him, I'm like, what did you eat? Like, and he did it early in the morning. And then he said he laid on the couch the rest of the day. He thought it was fine, but I don't love that. I want you to, like, running is like, oh yeah, I did do that this morning, but I also did all this other part of my life, right? And if you're wrecked on the couch all day, I don't love that. So I'm like, so a big part of that is the recovery part of it. And that is coming home and eating in that fine window, both carbs and protein and sodium to replenish that. And so good job on all of you guys, like, answering that much better than he did. And this is when it gets like, let's see. Oh, I guess this one says our carbs. So after the carb, how you said counting and stuff like that, I'm also like, I don't know. And Dana, even on here, is not like huge. Don't be huge on counting it, but just being aware if you don't have enough. And that, especially during the run, because that's just the thing, is that some of those products don't have enough. But when you're after just cut, you're probably nailing it with everything that you guys said, that you have enough. But doing the math of exactly where it needs to be, like, I think we're doing fine. But then the protein, so you do actually, there is more and more research right now coming out about women having some protein before. So that's when I said what I've started to do, because back in the day I would just have like a couple scoops of my kids' yogurt, which is just like Yoplait, whatever, straight carbs, right? And but now I do like my yogurt, which I love, Too Good, because it doesn't have as much carbs, but it has more protein. And but then I scoop it with the graham crackers. So I'm getting the carbs and the protein, and not a ton, but enough before. And then after, you guys like saying your protein drinks and all of that stuff. Chocolate milk's been the best pick for a long time, because it has so much carbs and protein in it, and it's delicious, let's be honest. So those are all like awesome. But making sure, because I find, and I know some of you guys are like, if you're running late at night, then you're coming home, putting kids to bed, blah blah blah. Or if you run in the morning, you're like, as soon as I walk in the door, it's like game, like I forget that I just went running, because it's like I walk in, and this morning my kid has a concussion, mountain biking, Sarah, good gracious. Anyways, and so then I was like, are you going to school? And yesterday it was like my other kid was sick. I'm like, okay, now, like, as soon as I walk in the door, it's like figuring out what our day is going to be like. And then it's like, oh crap. And then you're in the shower and get ready for work. And I'm like, crap, I still haven't freaking ate yet. So you guys are doing good on that. Like, you make sure you keep it up, of like consuming a whole meal, like after you run. And they say within like 30 to an hour, but I always say like right then, because life happens and then you forget, and it's like been too long. And then the rest of your day you're drained. That guy who I was talking about, he did his long run and then he drove home, and then he had his protein shake, and then he sat on the couch the rest of the day. So his protein shake probably wasn't enough, especially for the size of a guy that he is. So anyways, here's some of the other Dana's amazing like ideas, which do sound delicious, but also in my real life, I'm like, I think that would take forever to make every single one of those, kind of more in line with what all of you guys just said. But those do look awesome. Other ideas, and the numbers here, if you want to try to see like where you're at, for post. But the other big thing that I wanted to talk on just at least a little bit in this is the hydration. And I think at least half of you guys mentioned this already. So because we call the carbs, that is as the fuel, right? And then the hydration is the sodium. Okay, so carbs are fuel, hydration, sodium is going to be the biggest part. There are 6 different electrolytes, and they all play a role, but sodium is the one that's like the most important for runners sweating all the time. And so making sure that you get enough sodium. I really do sweat tests here, and I, whatever, tell people exactly where to be. But for you guys, I want you to start aiming with like 30 to 60 milligrams of sodium an hour. So what is that? And I don't have pictures of them, but you guys who said you do take in sodium, what product do you use?
I use for the convenience, like a lot of the time I use like the Liquid IV, but I've used some other ones, but that's what I use right now.
Okay, cool. I like Liquid IV.
Yeah, that's the same one that I do too.
Oh, okay. And Liquid IV has 500. So the 300 to 600, that's perfect.
I do usually like Element, real salt, and fire salt. I like the really salty ones.
The real, yeah. And so Element
I
has
like
like 1,000, real salt,
Yeah.
like, yeah. The other one that I find it really popular is the Relight, and it has more like 800. So it does depend on like your level, which is again individualized. But if somebody is not taking enough sodium and somebody's taking too much, they have the same physiological response, meaning like cramping, they stop running, they stop sweating. If you stop sweating, that's a huge like bad sign. Make sure you should stop running if you stop sweating. And that kind of stuff. So is what I've found in working with athletes is that there's the athletes that know a lot, so they keep popping too much and then they overload. And then there's the runners who just don't know enough, and they don't even take enough. But I also want you to be aware, like, so you can take too much, but obviously Sarah is somebody, like, there is different levels. If I found, because when I do the sweat test, I have the questionnaire that goes with it that I put in my device, blah, blah, blah. This is not scientifically backed by any means, but just from me doing it, people who say that they eat and like to eat salty food usually test on the higher, like closer to 1,000 milligrams. And those who don't, like, oh no, I don't really salt my food, I don't really salt, then they usually test it like the 300. So it's interesting. So you could kind of play it like, oh yeah, I like a lot of food, then kind of go towards the 600, 800-ish. But beware of, and I should put it on that slide, but some of the fuel, some of the the e-gel also has sodium in it, and a bunch of them do, but a bunch of them don't. And so, and this sodium in this e-gel is 230. So that's a lot-ish. It's not enough, but it's a lot. So if you were taking like an Element and taking 2 of those an hour, that's a lot of sodium. So like, make sure you pay attention to what is also in your gel. I think it's awesome that they're making them combined, so you don't have to combine as much, but when you dial it into your exactness, or like something feels off as we're experimenting with these different ways to fuel during, then be aware that some of it's hidden in some of your gels. And I will say, if you are somebody who likes to drink, like all of those that you just said that you drink, if you have to choose to drink, like if you don't want to pack that especially during your short runs, then drink it before would be better than drinking it after. Drink it after if you didn't drink it before. But if we're like the world, we get all of the choices in the world, then I want you to down the sodium before you run. So it's actually like in you. There's like the replenishing thing on the outside. Like on the other side. But if we're just choosing one or the other, then try to choose it before you run. Okay. And I think, okay, the other thing, this is your homework page. Okay. So biggest thing is like, look at the ones that you currently like, see the numbers, make sure they're at least in between the 30 and 60. Start practicing with them on your short run and definitely on your long run. Write it down, whatever it takes for you to remember, like which ones you like. Start buying the ones that you like the most. They're not cheap. Start using, but and I'm not like saying you have to use gels. So stick with your fruit snacks, your fruit roll-ups, all that kind of stuff that you like. But the other thing I want you to try to figure out is like, look at your race website, okay? And figure out what miles they're having aid stations and what they're having. So that's why I kind of said the e-gels are becoming popular in Utah, in my area. So then the e-gel guy got St. George Marathon to start doing them. So like last year they didn't have e-gels, but this year they do. So don't think that you know. And if they have it on course, of course it's like the easiest because then you don't have to pack it. So I would definitely like try to suggest you look at your race course, see what they're having on course, and at least practice that. I mean, at least buy a few of them. And if you hate it, then totally fine. It's totally like, do not like force it if your body does not love it, but give it a try if you're going to get them for free on course, you know? But then also just being aware of how often you have. So if you take a drink at mile, well, I don't know why I put mile 1. Like, of course there's crap at mile 1 anyways, to start line. But, if you think you can, like, you usually can go 2 miles before you need a drink, like just kind of teaching you and practicing like how often you want to fuel and you want to drink. Like I am a huge sweater. I drink so much water. There's like, I couldn't go 2 miles without during a race. Like I have to pack my own little tiny water that's with me anyways. And I just drink a ton of water. So I would want more than is given on course. So figuring out that, but then also figure out like, when your race starts, so you can kind of, and like it starts and when you have to catch a bus, if there is a catching a bus kind of thing. So you can kind of start brainstorming what you're going to make race day look like. We will, of course, do like I said, another Zoom like this when we get closer to race day. But I want the biggest part right now, especially on your long runs, are experimenting with this stuff, experimenting with your fuel, with your hydration. I want you to feel decent the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend. And then also your clothes, like start wearing some clothes chafe different, all this kind of stuff that we have going on. Some sports bras chafe me and other ones don't, and blah, blah, blah. Oh, but they only start chafing if I'm at like mile 12 when I'm like more sweaty and salty and that kind of stuff. So experiment and like take note of like what you're wearing on your long runs and if it felt good, so that you can kind of help you figure out what you're going to actually wear on race day. And I think that was all of our things. So now it's up to you guys. What questions do you have? What burning things? I think Auburn aren't you the one that posted that you had like a lot of questions or whatever, wanted this the most? Do you have any questions that I missed?
Yeah, so if I'm doing like just, I guess I'm thinking of, like you said, like every 30 to 60 grams of carbs for every hour. What was it?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you're just on like the half marathon, say you can plan to do it in like 2 hours, then you would just like have 2 gels if those have like 30 grams of carbs, right? Okay.
Yes. 30 would be the very least, would be 2 gels.
But if I'm just doing like a 60-minute like training run, then should I have like a gel or no?
Yeah, I want you to at least on one of yours during the week right now, just to practice like and see what it feels like in your gut. So take your 30 at 30 minutes and see how it feels in your gut, so that on race day you're not experimenting with that. But like I said, I know you don't really need it, but let's use it as training our gut instead of like physically needing it. Does that make sense?
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Awesome.
Also, can you get the e-gels online? Because I just checked Amazon and I don't like see them on Amazon. Are they just like a St. George, like Utah thing, or are they available everywhere?
They're not just a Utah thing.
Okay.
But that is weird. I haven't looked on Amazon, but they do have them at the store. So
okay, cool.
I mean, at the running store. So stop by now that you're not in Canada.
Okay, sounds good.
Say hi while you're here.
Okay, we'll do.
Does anybody else have questions? Okay, awesome. Okay, well, go fight, win, eat your food. It's very important. Fuel your run. Okay, good job. We'll see you later.